Hey, this is a quick video on how to start and run our New Holland skid steer. This is the LX665. This is what we call a two-stick machine. It is not electronic control. This is still analog. So as you get in the machine, take note, there's a parking brake down beside you here. That is a mechanical parking brake lock. Your ignition switch is up top up here. You've got two sticks, one on the left, one on the right, and then you've got two foot controls. And on your stick, this is your forward and back. The sticks are self-centering to a point, but they do not move really quick. So this would be forward and backward for your left side. This is forward and backward for your right side. You'll notice this stick here has a wrist action to it, a side to side. That is your auxiliary hydraulics for outside. Not all machines have auxiliary. This one does have the auxiliary. So when you initially get into a machine like this that is a two-stick, especially an aged machine, you always want to kind of play with the controls a little bit and make sure that they are returned to center, that they're not stuck partially engaged. Same with your foot pedals. It's a little hard to see down here, but I always play with the pedals a little bit in order to make sure that they are relaxed. Now these are rocker pedals, as you see. It's a heel toe. So you want to make sure, like the stick that's in there, that's clear, and any dirt that has built up. As you'll notice, the floor pan is open on this one. A lot of machines have closed floor pans. Or in the winter, you'll get ice built up under the controls. If you try to start this machine and the control is jammed in a forward or backward position, two things are going to happen. First of all, the engine is immediately going to go under load. And second of all, the machine is going to lurch. Our other older machine, these controls, the hand controls for your forward and backward, do not self-center well. When the machine is first starting, the machine will lurch and it'll try to turn. This is why it's critical to make sure that your parking brake is set. Because if your parking brake is not set and a control is locked in a forward motion or a backward motion, as it may be, the machine could lurch sideways, and if you're parked close to something, it could collide with it. So make sure your parking brake is set, make sure that your hand controls are in a neutral centered position, and your foot controls are in a neutral centered position. Because if the foot control, let's say if this right hand foot control, that is your bucket tip, and if that was locked forward, the bucket will try to tip forward, and once again, it'll lurch. It could damage something. Now, these machines are diesels, so you've got to turn the key on, and in the winter, you would have to wait for the glow plugs to cycle. In the summer, the glow plugs aren't going to cycle. So in the winter, you'd want to wait for your lights here to do their little glow plug cycle thing, and then you give the key a turn. This is your throttle control here. We'll see how bad the sound is with the machine running, but there are stickers that tell you what most things in here do. But this is your throttle control. The machine will be kind of herky-jerky if you're at full idle like that. When you try to run your hydraulics, it will be a little herky-jerky. So you want to bring it out of idle, bring it out of the basement just a little bit at least. And then release your parking brake. Then your right foot control is your up and down, or excuse me, your left foot control is your up and down, and your right foot control is your bucket tip. And like I say, if you're in the basement down at idle, it will be a little herky-jerky, but you bring it up just a little bit and it'll smooth out. You want to be very deliberate with the controls so you don't collide with something. But then, as I said, that's your forward and back, forward and back. Set the parking brake, and to turn it off, you just turn the key off. This up here is your headlights and back rear light. Now, on a skid steer like this, to go forward in a straight line, you push both hand controls forward. To go backward in a straight line, you pull both hand controls backward. If you're going to make a gentle turn while traveling, you hold this one, let's say, at about half, and push this one all the way. So if you give a little bit of forward motion to one and a lot to the other, it will slowly make a corner. If you're sitting still and you pull this one backward and push that one forward, the machine will turn around in its own footprint. It will also rip the shit out of the driveway. So this thing will dig holes, because if you're turning around in its own footprint, it's going to spin around, dragging the tires, and kind of dig a hole. So most of the time, you want to do a little bit of travel forward on one and a little bit more travel on the other, and kind of do all of your turnarounds as a Y turn. So slow travel forward, but more on one side than the other. Slow travel backward, but more on one side than the other. So that you're not ripping the shit out of the driveway. Because especially when it is muddy out, this thing will tear up the surface of the ground. So it's a little bit of a learning curve on that, but otherwise it's a real fun machine to run, and this one is very mechanically stable, so it's an easy machine to run. Always watch for your fuel level and your hydraulic safety light, that has enough fuel in the tank and enough hydraulic oil, because we do use this to test equipment. So if the hydraulic oil is low, it will be herky-jerky, because there will be air in the system and it could damage something. Thank you for watching.